I decided I wanted to do another of my 5 tips for aging. Again, they may not be the best 5 tips, but they're just some that I've written quite a lot out. So you're probably going to get another lot, and maybe even another lot. So the first one I'm going to talk about today is to have something to take care of. We can't all be lucky enough to have a pet, a dog or a cat or a goldfish, but we need something to take care of. So maybe a plant, a pot plant that you can have on the kitchen windowsill, but something that you have to think about other than yourself, especially if you're living alone. That's when it's so hard, because you focus on yourself, and I think we all need something else to focus on. It might be something in the garden that you can focus on and watch it grow and watch the seasons come and go. So that's my number one for today. And another thing I've discovered, we came to this town 4 years ago, and I grew up here but went away to school and lived away from here always until 4 years ago. And although I knew people from before, everyone's moved on, and I do have family here too, but everyone's moved on and they have their own groups, and I found it very hard to find my own tribe. And I think we need to have a tribe to which we belong. So for me, it took a while, and I found a knitting group because I love knitting, and I'm always knitting jumpers, as some of you know. And they were a completely different group of people that I've ever mixed with before, and I've really enjoyed them. Just different aspects of living than I've had, so that's been really good. And then I found what we have here is called the University of the Third Age, and there was a writing group, and I decided to join. And I'm quite a shy person, so it's a big deal for me to go into a group where I don't know anyone at all. And I walked in and sat down. They made me feel so welcome, as did the people in the knitting group. But I instantly felt at home, because they were all people writing. They weren't writing the poetry that I was, but they were writing, and we were talking about words and how they fit in, and I felt at home, and that's been a great joy to me, just going there. And once, a few weeks ago, the lady who runs the group couldn't be there, so she asked me if I would run a poetry group, which I was quite anxious about. But everyone was wonderful, and they loved it. And I had one elderly man there who was very black and white, I would say not really in touch with his emotions, and he struggled to write poetry. He couldn't get it. And then the last thing I asked them to do, he wrote about gum trees and what they meant to him. And I said, it's going to make me cry. It was beautiful. So it made it all worthwhile to think that he'd got it. So yes, so for me, it's important that we all find our group. Some of you are lucky enough to have lived in the same place for forever, or for a long time, and it's easier. But when you move in to somewhere and you're older, it is harder to make a group of friends. But I'm lucky because I do have family and I do have friends. But yes, so that's really interesting, I think. So another one, and I think perhaps this is developed from that one of finding a tribe, is be open to new things, new ways of looking at things, new ideas coming in. Don't close yourself off and think that what you've thought forever is set in concrete. Be open to change, changing your mind about things and accepting new ideas and new ways. So that's another one. So I think that's 3 for the morning. And you can see Benny racing around. What else? Another one is, don't feel as though only cameras and phones make good pictures. Simple glimpses of our world can stay in our minds forever. I'm looking at the early morning shadow of a leafy bush on a wall outside. It's the magic of nature. When you take these little snapshots in your mind, they do last forever. And there may come a day when we can't, when our eyes aren't so good. We couldn't even look at photos. And there's Benny barking. So to remember these beautiful things that you see, I think that's so good. So yeah, take photos with your brain. Don't in your mind. And don't feel that you've got to have a camera or the phone to take the image. And understand too that if and when you look back and you feel guilt about things that you've done or said in the past, just let them go. It's not important now. It really isn't important now. You did the best you had with the knowledge. You did the best you did with the knowledge you had at the time. And that's all we can ever do. So all these things that have tucked away in the bottom of you, inside of you, just imagine, picture putting them in a boat and letting them sail out to sea. Don't worry about them anymore. We're too old to feel guilt, to feel angst about what's happened in the past. And we can forgive ourselves for things that we might have done or said. So, yeah. So that leads on to forgiving yourself for anything that you've done in the past. You did the best you could with the knowledge that you had at the time. I think that's number 4. So I'll do one more. And if we get up to 6, well, then it'll be 6 tips for today. So when you're challenged physically, just take baby steps. I don't mean that literally. I mean just do little things at a time that you can do and be proud of each thing that you do achieve. If you walk more slowly, well, that's okay. If you take longer to cook a meal, that's okay. Or just, my husband always says, when I'm tackling something new, he said, just take baby steps, just a little bit at the time. He's always believed that, and he's encouraged me to just do one thing at a time, something that I can do, and then build on that. So yeah, that's my 5 or 6 tips for today on this beautiful, beautiful day. I hope you've enjoyed them, and please comment. I love to read the comments. It encourages me too to keep going and do more. So thank you. Thank you for all the comments that are going to pour in. And that's all for today.